We're at a time when there is no doubt the eyes of the world are on this part of the world. We're talking about oil, we're talking about production, we're talking about capacity, and frankly, we're still talking about that massive spat between the United States and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm just fresh out of Saudi Arabia, sitting in on that session with the energy minister of Saudi Arabia, who also warned about this lack of spare capacity over the next few months. We could perhaps see OPEC moving to cut production further, looking to create a buffer as we see all of these recession headwinds continuing to filter through markets.
No doubt about it. And it's interesting, of course, because if you take a look at this just from the geopolitical perspective itself, I mean, I've even had rumors floated to me that we could see, in some sense, the dissolution of OPEC. And I'm talking about the potential for the UAE to move back in their positioning. And as a result, frankly, of this spat between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Now, I thought it was really interesting watching His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz last week in Riyadh, essentially saying, listen, why isn't this just about us taking care of our people and our economy? And I have to say, just from a purely political standpoint, the man has a point. And when you have U.S. president and others in the West essentially saying that Saudi Arabia and other OPEC members should be sacrificing their own economic gains for what many of them frankly see as a disastrous Western policy with regards to Russia, you've got to take a step back there and say, this guy has a point.
Yeah, look, what was suggested coming out of that most recent event that he was speaking at was that perhaps we could see a more Saudi-first ideology starting to emerge. That is going to mean significant interaction with the Americans moving forward. We could see further rifts emerging. I think it's also interesting. You're going to be speaking with Amos Hochstein later on today. I think the first question I would ask him is, where were you in Saudi Arabia last week? Why was there no U.S. officials on the ground
I'm not asking,
at FII?
I am not asking where Amos was. I am asking where the U.S. Secretary of Energy is. Explain to me why she has not been out here over the last couple of years, solidifying these relationships, working on these relationships, working on the dialogue. I'm still clueless as to that, and I definitely will be asking him about where Jennifer Granholm is on all of this, because no doubt about it, she's expected in Sharm el-Sheikh at COP27. Why in the world would you not make that extra step to be working with the folks out here, the oil producers, the people that you're asking to produce more? And then the other question, of course, the oil majors. We've just seen a raft of earnings. We're talking about record-breaking profits. And President Biden, again, taking to Twitter and essentially saying that these are companies that should be sharing those profits with the American people, that they should essentially tax oil companies, gas companies, in order to alleviate, they say, the price at the pump. Now, I don't know about you, Dan, but the last time I checked, America was still a democracy which believes in capitalism, and companies are allowed to make money, right?
Look, here's the problem, though. I looked this up for you. The U.S. national average gasoline price right now is $3.76. In California, so big blue states, it's much higher right now. $5.57 is the average in California. In Texas, $3.18. So Biden has a big problem when it comes to oil prices. He's trying to get the Saudis to help coming into the midterms.
Absolutely.
They're not willing to play ball. But however, you also have to remember that President Biden is the one who cancelled the Keystone Pipeline.
So
also,
at what point did this come back on your own policies?
Blame Saudis and Russia, and then went running to the Strategic Petroleum Reserve for help.
You got it. I mean, one of the big questions, of course, going forward is how much longer they're going to continue to play that game. Every time there's something they don't like, we go to the SPR.